The church is big mad at Druski. Or are they? Let's talk about it today on Justified Question. Okay, so by now, the comedy sketch has gone super viral. And of course, everyone has an opinion on it, including me. That's why we're here. This comes on the heels of a video I just released about pastors so sacrificing integrity of the word for numbers and even theatrics. And this is exactly what Druski is making fun of. As far as I see or know, Druski does not have a religious background, but the way he exposes the spectacle that church has become was surgical. Let's first talk about what he did, break it down if it was right or wrong, and then talk about who is actually upset. Druski is a comedian who does sketches. He did a sketch recently reenacting and conflating theatrics that happen in the church, from flying through the air to the arrogance of pastors and their possessions in each of his parts of his sketch. There are correlating actual real life instances that coincide. Now, let's break down if he was right or wrong. I have yet to see someone point out an authentic moral issue with what he did. Most initial issues with his sketch proposed that he was making fun of God and the church. I disagree. Do I think he was making fun of God? No. I believe he was making fun of a false gospel that even Scripture calls for Christians to call out and stay away from. So, in essence, Druski is doing the work of a Christian and doesn't even know it. Paul called out teachers by name and gives the why they are false teachers, even telling us believers in the church to stay away from them. In 1 Timothy 1:3, Paul urges to charge certain people not to teach different doctrines. Then later in verse 20 calls Hymenaeus and Alexander by name. In 2 Corinthians 11:5 and 12:11, he also sarcastically calls people super apostles. In 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 6, it tells us, don't go beyond what is written. And he is exposing the depth of which preachers and pastors go beyond what Scripture prescribes. He is exposing the ridiculousness of it. And I would have to agree with him on it. I have a saying, if I lie and offend you, shame on me. But if I tell the truth and offend you, I'll let you finish that phrase. Then there are those who say, well, he used profanity. Okay, so as far as I can tell, he is not a Christian and doesn't have the same standard as we would as Christians to not use profanity or profane language. The interesting about the standard that they are trying to employ here is that there are a plethora of pastors who are not held to the same standard and are guilty of doing exactly what Druski did and exactly what you're mad at him for doing. But we don't hold them accountable. Let's be clear. Druski is a comedian, not a Christian. I don't expect him to have the same moral compass as Christians do. I don't expect him to not have to have the same moral compass as us, not to use profanity as we as Christians hold as a standard. Christians are attempting to hold Druski to a higher standard than he committed to, even a higher standard that they hold their own pastors to. The excuse they use is they call him a scoffer. And they use Second Peter chapter 3, verse 4, out of context, of course, to support their disdain of Druski. I would agree with them if he was making fun of authentic, accurate teachings of Scripture. Sadly, I would have to say the things he exposed, Scripture also calls out. Don't be a lover of money. In the last days, people will acquire for themselves teachers that tickle their ear. If you are more upset that a comedian is calling out pastors who violate scriptures as he emulated them, that is telling of where the problem actually lies. For him to fit under the category of a scoffer, he would have to be making fun of an actual teaching of Scripture in his video. I don't see a single instance of him making fun or scoffing at a biblical teaching. Simply putting a magnifying glass over the theatrics of what the church in America has become. So, is the church big bad? No. Are there people mad? Sure. But what are they really mad at? Is he scoffing? No. Actually, he is doing the exact opposite, exposing anti-biblical theatrics. Those who are mad because they feel attacked. They feel as if Druski has attacked God and the church. No. He has made fun of what many Christians have come to believe is appropriate biblical behavior. Is he making fun of Christians for giving dynamic, exegetical, transformational messages? No. He's making fun of unnecessary theatrics pastors flying through the air are taking in. Is Druski making fun of and saying Christians should not have expensive clothing? No. But he is exposing the fact that megachurch pastors put more emphasis on prosperity being a key measure to biblical maturity rather than how we treat or how we love our neighbor. What people have failed to realize is that Druski's sketch was a reenactment of actual instances taking place in megachurches by pastors. If you are mad at him, then you better be more upset at the Christians he is actually emulating. I want to requote myself one more time. If I lie and offend you, shame on me. But if I tell the truth and offend you, I'll let you finish that statement. In closing, I want to read for you 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 1 and 2. This is how one should regard us as servants of Christ and stewards of the mysteries of God. Moreover, it is required of stewards that they be found faithful. And that is what Druski's video exposes, is that these pastors have been weighed, measured, and found wanting. This has been another episode of Justified by Score. I hope you appreciate some of it. And if you disagree with anything that I have to say, let me know. I look forward to it in the comments. Until next time, Lord willing, of course, peace and grace.